Hello everyone, I'm Big Carl, and today I wanted to show off the new build of Midnight Club recompiled, LE recompiled, running on Steam Deck. Now I've been testing it out a little bit, and I seem to be getting worse performance overall, but there are a bunch of new features that will be really interesting to go through. This is the latest 8.5 patch. There's a lot of new settings added. There's AMD Fidelity FX that has been added. There's new aspect ratios that have been added. All the recompiled settings are now in the game. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's a Proton issue or what, or just small stuff here and there, like I don't know why. It appeared when I first opened it up, but the game logo no longer appears on the title screen. Not sure why. But it just goes ahead, it skips the intro because I have the patch on and everything else. It's on there on that menu. You press, I believe, F4 and F3 for the FPS counter. Performance seems to have gotten a little bit worse. So it's kind of like back to square one, but everything has been like pretty much fixed technically. So just small stuff here and there. The new menu is located in settings, the new menus. So you have settings for rexglue. That's what it uses, just like partially emulated. That's why the performance is pretty bad. You can adjust the resolution and everything else here. It's the Recomp settings, which has all the new fancy features like disabling certain graphics effects, 60 FPS, etc. I don't think that's going to help performance turning it off. It helped on my desktop though. Depth of field, motion blur, LODs, so like the level of detail for like the city and traffic. I turned it down as much as I can. And then I found that depth of field doesn't fully work yet. It kind of works, not really, when you turn it off. It's not perfect, but there's also the debug camera, so you can change your FOV. There's also now a free cam, which I'm not going to test here because I don't have a mouse plugged in or anything. And then of course you got the normal stuff like statistics and whatever. But that's the new menus and whatnot. These cars kind of look low poly off the side. I don't know if it's going to catch it on video. It's because I turned down the LOD for better performance, which didn't seem to make a huge difference. Performance, for some reason, just seemed to got worse for me, but it's the most stable that these builds have been so far. I just found that I have better frame rates on my computer, pretty much. But this is like the start of the game right after you pick the car. I already picked it, but I guess the game decided to save here. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what's going on with the graphics. They were working a minute ago. It's not the most stable build. I may need to reinstall it, in all honesty. So I'm gonna come back and maybe fix up my game file, see if that makes a difference. But I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm back. I managed to go back, plug it into my computer, and see if it fixes any issues. Hopefully after I put in the files and everything else, hopefully got fixed and whatnot. We're going to see right now. It has all the settings I originally had on my desktop, so hopefully it'll be a bit more stable. So the FPS counter is pretty low still, even on the title screen. But I'm going to go tweak some settings, see if it causes the issues again. Hopefully not. We're just going to put the resolution down because I believe by default it's like 1080p or something like that, which obviously we do not need. Yeah, we're still getting like 10 FPS. Overbuild was a lot better. Don't know what the default is, if it's 1080p or 720p, but I think it does definitely matter for the sake of performance. And then for the game settings, I'm not lowering it or anything. This is what it's at right here. I put half rate shading thinking performance would change. It really doesn't seem to make a huge difference. Turn it off for now. I didn't put any TDP limit or GPU clock. I don't have any of that on. This is definitely draining my battery. This was a full charge and now we went down 20%. Now I know the resolution is going to change, but performance is still the same right here, with or without it. We have 60 FPS on. Might help with performance, not too sure. But it's definitely a little worse than last time when we tested it out. Yeah, no, it's a worse. So 60 FPS is a must for any build of the game, honestly. So let's go back. There's also multiplayer that has been reintroduced. You can now run your own servers and whatnot on this build as well, which is a really nice touch. Is one of the benefits of the new update that was added to this patch. But yeah, I definitely got way better performance on my desktop, which does struggle to run Xenia, but on the Steam Deck for some reason, the performance definitely got worse than last time. Last time was almost playable. Yeah, this is pretty much unplayable. Like I can barely control my car. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. It's probably tied to frame rate. That's how bad it is. This is like just trying to run the game on the normal emulator compared to the last build. So let's see if what's the name, Trevor is still there. I don't know why they put him across the map, and yeah, that's what I was talking about with I can't barely control this car. There we go. So unfortunately, it seems like the performance might be like this for a while. I'm not sure why. There's also a new aspect ratio feature. There's 1610, but I tried on the Steam Deck. It doesn't seem to work properly. It just stretches the screen, so I have it turned off. But I might test that out after this race. What the hell? What the hell? What? What just... Is it... I'm pretty sure the debug camera's off. Yeah, the debug cam is off. Yeah, this is where the options are. The debug cam is off. What? But I'm getting better frame rate now. Maybe I can back my car up. That's so weird. Maybe I need to like mess with my files a little bit and like reset it back to default again and just not base it off of my settings here. Yeah, it seems to be pretty broken on this new patch, specifically on Steam Deck. On my Windows desktop, it's way better, and I'll probably show that here in a bit. Yeah, so I went through the settings and everything else, just trying to set it back to default. For some reason, I can't save it to my Steam Deck, so I'd probably have to go to desktop mode and, fix everything up. Perhaps re-download it off of the files that they share with us for the builds. However, unfortunately, it seems like it might be just Proton issue. Now, the dev has worked on Linux builds in the past. However, I've been using the Windows build and using Proton. I tried switching to Proton version just to see if I got better performance over experimental, and just made it worse. So I'm thinking it might be a Linux Proton issue with the Steam Deck, and maybe partially to do with the game because the game is pretty heavy still. It's still emulated, also not emulated. It's just kind of how rexglue is in general. However, because of the recomp, you also have all this new mods and whatnot. It's just one of the major hurdles. And while performance has gotten way better over time, it just seems like it's gotten a little bit worse, but a little bit better in some areas. I definitely found that on my desktop and specifically, it runs a lot better and it has better performance than xenia. And the last build, it did have better performance. It was practically, playable and everything else, but just did not seem to run quite as well as last time. It seems to run a little bit worse. Now, I don't know what's up with that. I mean, the dev did say that when he was working on the latest build, this one, he was having worse performance, but he was going to patch that out and everything else. And I'm starting to see more of the effects of that, specifically on the Steam Deck. And when it came to my desktop, I did have to lower the LOD or the level distance or level detail settings a little bit. I had to scale those down to like 0.5 on this desktop specifically, just so we can get more stable frame rate. And it seems to really like to hover around 40 to 25 FPS, which isn't that great, but it is playable. I'd say it's just barely underperforming over the real hardware because it's similar frame rate to what the real hardware will have, but on a locked 30 FPS pretty much. Things like the highway and then South Central is what suffers the most, but that's also where performance suffered on the real console too. And it's been theorized that there might be like memory leaks in South Central or something like that. But honestly, I think moving away from rexglue might definitely help performance quite a bit. But rexglue is what has gotten us here to this point. I mean, before there was physics issues. That was one of the biggest issues when we first started getting in game. That got patched out, and now physics are completely fixed out. Now we have actual mods running on here. We have the GTR mod, which now fully works. The cut music mod, which is now fully working as well. I mean, you have all these new mods. You got the debug camera, which was just implemented for this build, which works wonderfully. I don't know what happened earlier. There's no debug cam, so this probably tied to like frame rate scripts or something like that. But honestly, just the PC port that's being worked on for LA Recompiled definitely needs more going for it, honestly. Like, it just needs to slowly transition out of rexglue. There is another dev that is helping the main dev, the one that started doing this whole project. And hopefully there can be more people helping out with it, because it seems that is one of the biggest issues with this recomp is definitely performance. Everything is fixed, everything is running flawlessly. You know, any issues that I had before no longer has. All the stuff that's been implemented, I honestly think if they remove rexglue, then it will start, have perfect performance pretty much. But performance is definitely one of the biggest hurdles, and it's been the biggest hurdle for everyone. While it does perform a little bit better than the emulator, and before way better on the last build, um, honestly, it's just wishy-washy. Like from a couple months ago, there's been a lot of major fixes, but then there's also these new downsides as well, which seems to affect the Steam Deck the hardest. And the Steam Deck is weaker hardware. It is basically like a 1660, but like the APU or whatever, like 1650, but it's like an APU or whatever, so technically not a GPU. It's sharing resources, stuff like that. So it's kind of a mixed bag. This is also a lot older hardware too. I mean, the Steam Deck came out in like 2021 and it's still being sold today. Meanwhile, stuff like the ROG Ally and the new Xbox Ally, Lenovo Legions, all those new handhelds are way more powerful than this one. Even got to the point where the GPD Win 4 a couple years ago was still way more powerful than this thing. They're like at the Win 5, which is like I think it's like 20, I don't know, 2070, 2080 levels of performance now. Like crazy performance. but definitely the aging hardware doesn't help. The fact that this thing can barely run RPCS3 and Xenia makes a huge difference here. And the fact that it's still partially emulated seems to be one of the biggest issues for, the recomp in general, and it's one of the biggest criticisms it's got as well. Well, if it's not in the emulator, how is it any better? Stuff like that. It is possible to get better performance, and there are other projects that use rexglue like Skate 3 and whatnot. And all those mods you just saw and everything else, and the fact that mods are working, ones that worked on real hardware, ones that worked on this one, and I forgot to mention, PS3 saves now work on this thing too. Xenia saves, real Xbox 360 saves, those all work. So I have the PS3 version of the game, and I have my own save on there. As long as it's unencrypted, which I have a modded console, it should be possible to get that from it. It will work on, it will work on the recompiled port of the game. But honestly, I think it just needs a little bit more time in the oven. But we are getting pretty close. We have gotten really far in like these past couple months to like a year when this project started. So I'm actually really excited. I'm actually really proud of what the dev has been able to pull. I originally was gonna help donate to him, but he's like, no, 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 I don't need any donations and whatnot. And there's a lot of people supporting, testing. I'm one of those people. I'm like one of the very few people that's actually running on the Steam Deck and running on my desktop at the same time, which has helped significantly with the project. Stuff like crashes and whatnot and whatever. All that stuff is like got patched out like pretty much overnight. That's how hard the dev is working on this. But honestly, it's also mostly private as well, just making sure nothing gets taken out by Take-Two and whatnot. Rockstar, they're really iffy with these kinds of projects, but honestly, as long as everyone can keep their mouth shut, we're gonna pretend you didn't see this video, right? You didn't see this video, and I do have permission to upload stuff like this too. It's just I'm not gonna share files or anything else. If you're asking me if you can test it, I am not gonna answer you. I'm just going to ignore you, pretty much. Um, just everyone has to be tight-lipped about it, and you know, I'm just showing off the project. Like Take Two cannot do anything about these videos at all, which is part of the reason why I've been showing these too. I've been showing gameplay clips and whatnot. But honestly, I think in a couple months' time, performance will get a little bit better. This is how the rate of things have been going. And honestly, it's been like we've seen, like I've said, like we've seen so much progress that honestly, I think everyone should be excited for a project like this, especially with how Rockstar abandoned the series and how they're not going to make a PC port and whatnot when they really should. I mean, they had Red Dead 1 on PC, and they put it up like last year or the year before. So I mean, like they can totally do that with Midnight Club. And then they have the Series X backwards compatible version, which has all the stuff patched out. So they can definitely do something about a PC port. They have the resources to do it. They can definitely do it, and they'll make a lot of freaking money off of it. If this project doesn't fully succeed, then Rockstar definitely has ample room to make their own PC port, and this should show them that they totally could, and there's dedicated fans for that. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and anyways, have a good night. Goodbye.
I was up out of there, man, busting U-turns down one ways. Seriously, homie, 5-0 was all over my ass.
Yeah, man, they're chasing all of us.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so y'all the real deal, huh, homie? Real street. Okay, anytime you want to race with some slips, come on down to the beach then.
And what did it be like last time? When one of your friends refused to give up his car?
Man, hold up, man. Put some brakes on that. First of all, he wasn't no friend of mine, more like a business associate. And second of all, I think he felt that you offended him.
Whatever. Yo, what's up, man?
What's up?
I gotta get on up out of here, man. I'll talk to you later.
Later, Lester. This my boy, give it up. Oh, man, we gotta work on that.
So have you, man.
And you gotta work on shutting your...
Races are marked on your GPS map with unique icons.